Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. We do have some breaking news to give to you. This is, remember, the Brian Laundrie, Gabby Petito case, and we are now learning that Brian Laundrie, the ruling is now in. He died by suicide. That is according to the family attorney. So we wanted to bring that to your attention right here on Live Now from Fox. And on the phone is a friend of Live Now from Fox, a board-certified forensic pathologist, Dr. Michael Baden, joining us on the phone. Thank you, doctor, for joining us here during this breaking news element. And we'll discuss this a little here. First off, we were talking I remember the last time we were talking, doctor, and we were thinking maybe it could have been he took pills or some sort of something like that, but that is not the case now.
Yeah, I just heard about this from you. This just came out. Suicide. Does it say that's the manner of death? What was the cause of death?
Oh, gunshot to the head.
A gunshot wound to the head. Okay, so he had a gun. He shot himself, and then they should have found a gun at the scene. You know, when the FBI came there, they would have known about that right away, because animals don't usually remove guns from the scene. But no, that's a suicide by gunshot. Another way, if there weren't a gun around, is take an overdose of sleeping pills or something. But this solves the problem.
And now tell us, doctor, why do you think this way? What went into the investigation here, and why did it take quite some time to release these results?
I think it took time because the body had been mutilated. It sounded like. By the animal activity around it. Remember, the body had been underwater, the alligators around. There would have been at the scene a gun. There would have been difficulty in examining for bullet holes. Usually, the most common means of suicide in the United States is gunshot wounds. That's the most common way people commit suicide, almost always gunshot wounds to the head. And there would have been some difficulty in distinguishing, say, alligator bites from bullet holes. So they took the remains. They took the remains to an anthropologist. They removed all of the damaged skin, and were able to find in the bone of the skull a typical bullet wound of entrance, and perhaps also a bullet. If it didn't come out the other side. And this took time, and that was usually gunshot wounds of the head are very obvious, but not if the body's been underwater and attacked by animals. So this all makes sense.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so now that the family receives this, I mean, obviously they've been struggling now for quite some time with the loss, really on both sides when you think about this, for both sides, Gabby and Brian Laundrie. But now what happens next now as far as anything else that could happen in the investigation going forward, knowing that this was the cause?
Yeah, this would probably close the investigation into Gabby Petito's death. This makes sense. They have no other person who had seen Gabby Petito, that something happened between them mentally, and this should close the causes of death for both. However, we still don't know about what was in the backpack and the notebook that he had. There may be a lot of information in the other materials that were found at the scene that might explain why he committed suicide, why Gabby died. So this solves the cause of death of both Gabby and of Laundrie, but there may be more information to explain why, under these very happy circumstances, that appeared to be when they went out across country, that it wound up in this tragic manner.
And now, obviously, with the gunshot to the head there, the weapon was nearby. Going forward now, does that lead to believe that they found that right away and that they had a pretty good idea that day, would you say?
Yes, I think when they found him, the gun would have been in the vicinity of where the body was found. It might not have been readily available because of water and because of the decomposition of the skin around the gunshot entry wound. But they would have known pretty much. They would have had the idea that this looked like a gunshot wound to the head. There would have been maybe remnants of blood around that hadn't been totally dissolved by the water, but they wanted further dissection, anatomic dissection of the area to make sure they were correct, and that was done with the forensic anthropologist and the medical examiner. But at the time, immediately at the time of death, when the body was found, there was enough evidence for the FBI and the local police and the medical examiner to be very suspicious that this was a gunshot wound.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, Dr. Michael Baden, thank you again for joining us here on Live Now from Fox as we were able to share the news just as it broke there, according to the family attorney. Breaking that down. But Dr. Michael, we appreciate you joining us here.
The next step.
Yep, go ahead.
Michael, the next step is going to be, was there anything in his belongings that sheds further light on to explain what happened? Because we know what happened. We don't really know why it happened yet.
Yes, so true. And what about, there was that backpack. We still don't know if there was maybe any notes or a letter there left behind.
We know that there was a backpack with material in it. That was in a waterproof backpack. So even with the water around, there should be a lot of material that can be evaluated. And there was a notebook in a water pack that might contain a whole description of what happened as a suicide note. We don't know if there was a suicide note, but it makes the possibility of a suicide note written by him before he shot himself even more possible.
All right, Dr. Michael Baden, thank you so much for joining us here today on Live Now from Fox. We truly appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. Good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much.